Hello the internet, and welcome back to Road Hazard. Today we stand in front of my somewhat cleaned out garage. I put all the tools away from this monstrosity we had going on and made a nice path and get to everything. Yeah, good start. Anyway, today we are going to take a stab at that guy. 1970 Plymouth Fury III Convertible, 318 904 automatic. Double bench seats. Mint. Well, junk, but good junk. So today, basically, we're just going to be doing some maintenance. I got a set of shocks for this car because it doesn't absorb shock so good. We got some front brake lines, and we're going to go ahead and bleed the brakes again because they're a little spongy. They have been since I bought the car. I've never fixed it because they stopped the car. They're just spongy. Anyway, we're gonna fix that today too. And then something I did off camera because I really felt like I needed something to do to get my mind off of, you know, what happens with the Mustang. I redid the rear of the exhaust on this car because previously there was a turn down on this side that was right about where that clamp is. And on that side, there was a straight piece of pipe that was all bent and smashed and destroyed, going straight right there. And the problem was, the dump on this side was about 6 inches this way. It was right next to the tank. And that side's all the way over there. So they were like really far apart. And they looked stupid, because one was here and one was over there. Anyway, what I did was put a set of turn downs right underneath the rear valance. They dump just about flush with the bumper. And to get them to come out at the same spot so it doesn't look stupid, I made that. It's just a couple of 45s I cut to fit. I put in another exhaust hanger because that one obviously is too far to the left now. I moved the whole pipe over to get it exactly where I wanted it, and then I just cut it to fit so that the tip would come out at the same spot as it did on that side, because you'll notice, like I said, we got a little whoop-de-doo there, and on this side just straight, no whoop-de-doo. I did that 2 days ago, yesterday. Covered in leaves. It's like it's fall or something. Underneath some of the scones, it's really not bad. The carpet's got a ton of stains. I have a spot bot. Maybe we'll work on cleaning that up a little bit. There's those shocks. The top obviously will need to be replaced. That is on the menu. I almost forgot. The other thing we're going to do today is we're going to crawl under there, get a look at that transmission pan, and see if she needs to be resealed. It doesn't look like it's leaking now. The car has only been here for about 20 minutes, so who knows. Maybe we'll worry about the trans last, so like we can like leave it overnight, see if it leaks. Because if it doesn't, then what probably happened was when I did trans gasket and everything on this car, I just over tightened the pan maybe, or wait, no, that's if it does leak. If it doesn't leak, it means I might have overfilled the trans and it was just leaking out past the tail shaft seal or something like that. We're gonna do some work on this guy today. And maybe, actually, while we're in there, we'll take a look at all these fittings on this new lines and stuff and see if any of them are leaking. I mean, they're leaking a little, but like if they're still leaking or if that's residual leak from the old leak. Yeah, we might replace the pump if it ends up being what is leaking. We might try and replace the steering box if that's what's leaking. Everybody loves replacing steering boxes. There are a bunch of new brake lines run in this car, which is pretty nice. You can see all the hard line that they re-ran. The guy told me when I bought this car that he did redo the brakes. And the difference between the guy that sold me this car and the guy that sold me the Mustang is the guy that sold me this car was honest. This car did sit for like 9 years before I picked it up under this tree. 10 years, something like that. So it needed some reviving, but before it had been parked, when his son was still driving it, they did a bunch of stuff to it. So, and I've driven this car all over the place. What we're not going to do in this episode that still needs to get done is drop the fuel tank and fix the fuel sending unit. I don't want to do that, so we'll wait on that. We'll do that later. We're going to do it, but we'll do it later. Cassette players are God's gift to humanity. That's where we're at with the Fury. I was thinking about this the other day, actually. I really want to stick a bigger radiator in this car. Something a little wider, maybe something aluminum. When this car sits idling in warm temperatures, like anything over like 80 degrees, it starts to overheat. It doesn't boil over, but it gets pretty hot. When you're moving, it's, no problem. But if you're stalled out, traffic, just waiting in a parking lot, picking somebody up, whatever, she gets warm. Maybe we'll change that out at some point. We'll see. The other thing I just noticed while I was in here, man, I'm gonna have fun editing these really long uninterrupted clips. I hate it when I do this to myself. Anyway, that fuel filter looks like it's junk. There's all kinds of sediment buildup in there. It's getting yellow. It's probably time to replace this. I put that on when I got the car, and there's sediment from 9 years ago in that filter still, so maybe we'll throw a filter in it real quick too. Let's get to work. Walk! Are you talking to me? Throw it on right there, and that part of this program will be complete. Okay. It ain't leaking. Looks like we're doing good down here. There's actually 3 filters in this car. One right there, this one, and that one. We are filtrated. It's nice and quiet. Just glass packs, but they're long ones. My registration is super expired. One thing down. We still have shocks, brake lines, a couple other things, but fuel filter done. You guys can hear that, right? The vacuum leak. Put my head on that. Okay, well, I think it's one of the lines coming out of the back of the carb. So we'll fiddle and fart and see if we can get the tone to change. We'll know which hose it is. And then we will go ahead and replace whatever is leaking. Get that whistle to stop. That cap looks a little crusty. Not that one. Not that one. Worth a shot, I guess. I found it. port is not vacuum, it's pushing. I don't know why, but see. So what we're gonna do is probably put a piece of line from that port up to the air cleaner lid somewhere. So we can find one that'll fit it. Probably that one right there, which is what that's, you know, for. We'll just, you know, connect that. We're actually going to connect the thing that's supposed to be connected, I guess is what I'm trying to say. Okay, we've got that fixed professionally. Got a piece of hose on there. Get a lid flip. Just kind of tucked in there. It's fine. The car will breathe all those fuel vapors, and it will like it. That's how fuel vapor works, probably. Anyway, let's see if we can make some noise. Responsive when she's nice and warm, isn't she? Maybe I'll put you down here and you guys can get some exhaust. I'm not even going to look at the plugs because I know that they're probably great and very old. I'm kidding, of course. Maybe we'll throw plugs on the list. Maybe we'll do those now that the car's 800 million degrees. Maybe not. I'm just kidding. I think I might even have plugs in the pile here somewhere that will fit this car. So let's see if I've got a set of plugs we can throw in this thing and make it run that much better. Well, let's see what we got. Well, they're pretty steady. I'm glad I pulled them. Not as bad as I expected, but they're not great. So we're obviously going to change. Ow, those are piping hot. Maybe because they were just running. We're going to change those because I never have in the entirety that I've owned this car. It's a long time. And there's been some nasty fuel run through this thing. So let's put a set of plugs in it. Let's see if I have anything similar. Full set of auto lights. So I only had 6 of the auto lights, but I did have all 8 of these champions. These are RN14YCs, and they're the same. So we're gonna throw this set of brand new champion plugs in the automobile and see how she runs. They've been in there a long time. Let's go ahead and get these replaced. Wait. Ha! These are Champion RN14YCs. This is the same spark plug, just much older. So, perfect. So we got all the plugs changed. And the old ones were all pretty fouled on both the banks. This one was the worst. So we're just gonna pretend that we didn't look, and it's fine because there's new plugs in it. Let's put the air cleaner back on it so it's not doing that, and give it a shot. All right, let's see if it runs any better. It's definitely not worse. This bank has always just been the tiniest bit smoky. Look at that. It's even smoother. It's a very, very healthy small block. while I was leaning on the fenders with doing the plugs, I quickly reminded myself why we're doing shocks, because wow, they're bad. Yeah, she needs shocks. I'll brave the water to show you what I've done. Jacked the car up, got the old line off. This is what I was talking about. Get a load of that crack. Yeah, these were not long for this world. I don't know if they were original, but I got 2 new ones, so we'll just replace them and rebleed the brakes because we were gonna have to do that anyway. Got a shock in there we still gotta get out, and then we gotta do the other side. But we'll bust this thing apart and get it the rest of the way put back together. This is why everybody is jumping to buying parts online instead of using parts houses. Not even close to the right diameter. I'll just take that wrapper out of the trash. Go back to the parts store and try and find the correct brake lines. So I had to wait 4 days for these. I guess we'll try again. Okay, so they didn't have the brake lines we needed, because of course they didn't. But they will be here later today, about 5 o'clock. It is almost 3. So we got 2 hours to kill. I figure we'll knock out the shocks in the meantime. I don't want to flop around on the wet ground. Get all gross. So I think I'll just do the fronts, and then we'll do the brakes, the front brake lines, I mean, turn the car around, and then do the rears on the concrete. That sounds like a plan. Well, I almost didn't change these because they don't look that old, you know? They look like they've been replaced at least once. So I was like, But I'm glad I decided to, because I don't know if you saw how easy that first few inches was, but it's not supposed to do that. Okay, so got the new shock end on this side. Nice Monroe Gasomatic. I'm gonna go over to the other side. Still got the brake line off. On there, we're still waiting for those, but let's go over to the other side. And also, if it works, is it really a dumb idea? I was tired of getting water down my butt crack, because I basically fit in the fender well completely, except for my ass, which was getting really wet. So I say again, if it works, is it really a dumb idea? This is proof why even if shocks look like they've been replaced recently, as these ones did, they're not always good. Unless it's just shy. Both of the shocks are in, and that's well and good. I still don't have brake lines. It's only 4 o'clock, so we're gonna wait for those, because like I said, I don't want to do the rears in the muddy dirt over there. Okay, so the front is done. The rain is slowing. New brake lines, both sides. New shocks. Brake fluid's topped off. I bled them a little bit. Lines in the end and stuff. These style bleeders, like the air ones, they work okay. They're not great. You really do need to go back and do a real bleed after you do one like this. So there's still going to be some air, but it'll be, like I said, enough for us to spin the car around and get the back towards the garage so we can do the rear shocks and that rear brake line. And then we'll bleed the rear brakes the same way we bled the front brakes. And well, that'll be that. We'll be done. Move it up and down the road here, and it works. How's this for stink bug? I like it. Let's put 12-inch lift blocks on it. This is the 1978 version of the Carolina Squat. You know, the trucks, but it's a muscle car. So, stink bug. Yeah. Except with the stink bug stance, you could see. So I'm all finished. All 4 shocks, both front brake lines. The rear one was, I could tell it had been replaced. It wasn't perfect. It was a little crusty, but no big cracks. So we're gonna leave that one for now, because the front 2 were huge cracks. Destroyed. So we replaced those, bled the brakes a little bit, like we said. It's drivable if we could get it on the ground. The floor jack that I have had, old trusty here, for 7 years. It was the cheapest 2-ton at Harbor Freight at the time. They don't even make this one anymore. But it lasted me this entire time, 0 problems. But now, one of the rams has decided to stop ramming. Also, that gas leak is epic. I stink. It's great. So I'm gonna go into town and get myself a new jack. Today's Saturday. I didn't upload yesterday. You're probably thinking, oh God, why? And I haven't actually announced it yet, but what I'm doing is I'm moving to an every other week upload schedule. So instead of every Friday, it'll be every other Friday, one every 2 weeks. I bit off a little more than I could chew when I started this channel. Once a week is a lot of work. Not that every other week is like not a lot of work. It's still work, but it's easier for me, a one-man operation, to manage every other week than it is once a week with the schedule that I currently have. Could I churn out a 1 video a week if I was just putting out garbage? Absolutely, but I don't want to put garbage out for you guys, so every other week is what we're going to do from henceforth. So next Friday, in 6 days, you will get this video. Anyway, so now that all that stuff's done on the Fury, we're going to do belts. I went and picked up a couple of belts. So we'll throw some belts on this car. I also have my suspicions about the power steering leaking. And I think it's the fitting in the box. So we'll take some of those fittings apart, clean them up. Maybe we'll wrap them in some thread tape, see if that helps. We might take some measurements and see if we can fit that 2-core aluminum radiator in this car to stop the ever-present cooling issues that this car had from the factory. You know, it's not like it's just a beat down old car. I mean, it is kind of a beat down old car, but if you look at the rad, I mean, we looked at it last time, I think. It's just, a lot of the fins are closed up. It's rusty, it's crusty. It looks like it's leaked in a couple of spots, 3 spots. It's just time to replace it. We're gonna see if that radiator fits, and if not, then we'll probably put the old Duster radiator in it, because that was also a V8 318 radiator. That's an A-body radiator, so it's smaller, I think. But big ass bug. There's no damage to the cooling fins, and it's a good unit without any damage, so that might work better. We'll take some measurements and see. The more I'm thinking about it, actually, I think that's what I want to do. I think I want to use the old Duster radiator, because it means we might be able to get a shroud to work, because I have one, and I'd love to see if I could get it to play nice, because I'd love to put a shroud on the car. So we'll try that. There were a couple of little piddly things I did last night. I went and I bought some plastic polish, and I polished the absolute snot out of the rear window with my buffer. And this is basically as good as this clear window can get, and I can almost see through it now. It's like looking at a funhouse mirror, but it's way better. And you'll also notice, you might have, may or may not have actually seen this in the other videos with this car, it's not sagging in the middle anymore. I came in here with zip ties and just reattached it by putting it through holes that were already ripped in the material. Anyway, that works perfectly. And actually this car keeps the heat in a lot better when there's not like a 2-foot diameter hole in the rear window, which you'll notice I've also taped up. But yeah, it's amazing how well this car retains heat now, which is nice because we're getting into the cold season, and I'm one of those people that drives their car year-round. Oh no, your car's gonna get wet and dirty. Does this car look like I'm worried about it getting wet or dirty? We need to get in here and take some measurements and see if there's even going to be a way for me to fit this giant thing in here. And if not, then we have to get creative, because we can't use the aluminum rad. Outlets on the wrong side. So the Duster radiator is not going to work for a couple of reasons. First of which, you can see how much bigger this radiator is, which is why I wanted to use it. But the problem is, these tabs are going to be inside the battery, and these tabs are going to be inside the overflow tank, which is not connected, and has a hole in it. Maybe I'll delete that, actually. If I offset the radiator, use that bracket, I can't use this radiator still, and here's why. Top mount would be fine, but the bottom hose comes out on the passenger side, and on this car the water pump outlet is right there, so it has to be driver. I think maybe we might leave the radiator for now. Maybe we'll go and actually, purposefully get a C-body aluminum radiator and just do that instead. As you guys can see, these were fine. There was no reason to change these belts at all. These belts were brand new, 10 miles, no issues at all. Yeah, they were falling apart, so I'm glad we're changing these, because I'm pretty sure these haven't been changed in over 20 years. We got the fan alternator belt off, and this one is actually really nice. Tiny bit of cracking. So what I'm gonna do, and what I like to do most of the time, if the old belt isn't completely destroyed, I'll just throw it in the trunk, and then that way, if I'm ever on like a trip or something and I pitch the alternator fan belt, which is, the important one, I've got a spare. Too short. We got some belts on there. I'm gonna start it and make sure they don't squeak real quick, and then we'll get started on the power steering lines and stuff. I'll say we're good. I didn't film it, but there's not much to see. Basically, you just pop the high pressure and the return line off. I put some Blue Monster thread tape around the fittings, stuck them back in. Nice and tight. I sprayed it off with a lot of brake clean. That's what that dampness is, but I don't think it's leaking anymore. At least not out of the fittings on top of the box. If it's leaking, you know, it's out of the pump or whatever. But it doesn't appear to be leaking out of the box anymore, which is good. So we did, let's see, belts, the thing with the rear window and power steering. We did the brake lines, we did shocks, we bled the brakes, we did that fuel filter too. I don't know what else to do right now. I can't remember my list. I did have a few things that I wanted to do with the front end. I'm thinking maybe tie rod ends and drag link, pitman arm, stuff like that, but I'll crawl under it and take a look at them, see how they look. And then we'll decide from there. Trans fluid is good. It's good on oil. I might have to top off power steering now that I've loosened those lines and had some fluid come off, but actually it doesn't need a lot. So we'll add a little bit of fluid and then call that good. In the future, we've got the front suspension to finish up. We've got the rear brake line to look at. Maybe we'll crack the rear drums off, take a look at those. The fuel gauge, the top, all the accompanying bodywork. We got stuff to do to this car. We're out of parts. So that's going to do it for this episode of Road Hazard. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure you guys drop a like, leave a comment down below telling me what do you think we should do next with this car, or if not this car, which one. Appreciate you guys. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.